Rob. This is the time, the moment of truth. So let's make our picks for the Super Bowl. Who you got?
I'm going with the San Francisco 49ers.
Wow.
San Francisco was supposed to be there all year. We know, Chris, they had the little slump in the middle of the season. They lost a couple games. But this is the path that they were supposed to be. It doesn't matter how you get there, the bumps. I look at that as a part of the journey. It hasn't been a pretty postseason. Got run over by the Packers. Could have easily lost that game if the Packers kicker Chris made a field goal. They could have lost. They could be out.
Yep.
But it didn't happen. They were down 24-7 at the half. People in Detroit were flooding the call centers of all the airlines, Chris, hotels. Everybody thought in Detroit they were going to the Super Bowl. And they didn't fold. They didn't panic. That stadium was you could hear a mouse urinate on cotton in Santa Clara, okay? But they didn't fold. I think there's something about that. And I'm not here to trash Kansas City because this is an improbable run for them. Chris, their defense way better than we ever could have imagined. The best during the Patrick Mahomes run. What scares me about Kansas City is the offense and the weapons. And will they revert to the offense that was sketchy, that struggled in fourth quarters? Like, that's what, does that offense show up in the biggest game of the year? Because that's really, if I were to pick the offense the last couple of weeks, Chris, in the playoffs, or the offense the whole 17 games, the whole 17 games being flaky is the real Chiefs offense, not just what happened the last 2 weeks and which one shows up. So I'm going to go with the San Francisco 49ers. I think they win this one by 10 points.
Wow.
It's a 7-point game until late. Yeah, you know what I mean,
So
Chris? Not a blowout.
Fairly comfortably.
Yeah,
though.
but if you add a field goal at the end to make it. I picked when the Colts beat New Orleans in the Super Bowl, Chris.
Yep.
I picked the Colts. Oh, it was the other way around. I'm sorry. When the New Orleans beat the Colts.
Yep.
I picked them by 2 touchdowns. I remember Skip Bayless looking at me like I was crazy. We were doing First Take. And guess what in that game? Remember, the Saints were winning by 7, and then a pick 6 by Peyton Manning at the end made it a 14-point spread. So I see something like that, 7-point game, Chris, and then and then the 49ers seal it with a field goal late to make it a 10-point game.
Believe it or not, Rob Parker, I'm also picking the Niners.
What? I'm doing a Danny Thomas spit take.
I am also picking the Niners. Look, I think on paper there are a heck of a lot of reasons to go with the Chiefs, right? They've got the experience, obviously. They've got the top coach. They've got the best quarterback in the world. Their defense at this point is better than San Francisco's. And they've looked better in the playoffs. But for the entire season, Rob, I agree with you. The Niners have been the better team the entire season. Now, maybe that'll turn out to not mean anything because, like we said, the Chiefs have looked better in the playoffs.
No doubt.
But the Niners had the better season. And, Rob, if this game were being picked 5 weeks ago, everybody would be picking the Niners. Everybody.
100%.
Right? And I agree with you on, remember when they were routing everybody, they were even saying, we need a little adversity.
Yep.
We need to show it.
It's too
Brock
easy.
Purdy was one. They wanted to see what he could do in those moments.
Yep.
But, yeah, everybody as a team, because Shanahan was 0-30 in those instances, or 0-31, whatever it was, trailing in the fourth quarter. So they did need, even though it wasn't pretty, even though it was dangerous, I know they didn't do it on purpose.
No.
But they needed to prove that they had that mettle to where everything looks bleak and they could pull it out. And I also think, Rob, there are some football reasons. Now, I know there's a lot in the Chiefs' favor, too. But, look, the Chiefs, they blitz a ton with Steve Spagnuolo. Now, he's a great defensive coordinator. He can switch things up, but he is blitz happy.
Right.
Guess who's the best quarterback in the league against the blitz?
Brock Purdy.
Brock Purdy. Number one
He
in
might have
several.
to dial that back
right.
a little bit, Chris.
Well, if they blitz him, though, I think he can make them pay. Yeah,
Right.
you're talking about
But I'm saying-
Spagnuolo. Absolutely.
Yeah, that he might have to dial it back because you don't want to be giving up big play,
Nope.
play.
Because with those guys that can run after the catch, so there's that. Also, the Chiefs like to play man coverage. They played it almost as much as any team as far as their defensive backfield. And the Niners feast on man coverage, which shouldn't surprise you. George Kittle, Deebo Samuel, Brandon Ayuk,
they got so many
and
playmakers.
Christian McCaffrey. Yeah. So they feast on man coverage. Now, they can play zone, too. They played some zone against Miami. But I'm just saying some of the things that the Chiefs love to do, the Niners can counter offensively. And, Rob, the Chiefs' weakness on defense, or the weakest part of their defense, because the defense is really good, is against the run. And we saw Buffalo run for almost 200 yards on them. In 15 of their 20 games, they gave up more than 100 yards rushing.
Wow.
And
I didn't
Christian
even know that
McCaffrey's
stat.
the best running back in the league.
So there'll be a
And
steady
so,
dose of that.
I think that's the key. I mean, at least offensively for the Niners, I think if they can establish the run, then I think they can make it a long night for the Chiefs. And look, again, I don't know what in the world was going on. Baltimore never even tried that.
No, they
Never
went
even
away
gave it a
from who
chance.
they were,
Yep.
and they didn't run the ball against a team that's susceptible to the run. None of it makes sense. That's where all the Rob G conspiracy theorists are like, this is not real. This is the WWE. This is scripted because why would they not run the football?
No, it was strange, right? And not only was it their strength, it was the opponent's weakness.
Right.
And so, look, Rob, you and I are the only two. I've seen about 8 guys, I guess, on TV today making predictions. You and I are the only two I've seen, well, including us, maybe 10. But you and I are the only ones I've seen pick the Niners.
Really?
Because I think Mahomes is, I love Mahomes. He's obviously better than Brock Purdy.
Right.
But this is a team. It's a team game. And we know how stacked the Niners are, and I think Purdy can be good enough, and actually more than good enough. I think he can play well, and they can pull it out. And, Rob, how many times – I think that would be an upset. I know they're favored, but like I just said, everybody seems to be picking the Chiefs.
Right. The Chiefs are a safe pick, and I get it.
Yep.
Chris, they've been to the Super Bowl all these times. They have the experience, and they got Hall of Famers and potential and future Hall of Famers, and they have the coach and all the other stuff that goes with it. But we've been covering sports too long. What looks obvious all the time just isn't. It just isn't.
No, especially in the Super Bowl.
Am I right?
Nobody
seen
would
it.
have picked the Giants over the 18-0 Patriots.
Not nobody.
Right?
Zero.
No.
Zero.
Nick Foles beating Tom Brady. Heck, Tom Brady
threw for 500 yards,
Right.
Chris. Right?
And
Didn't he
they
throw for
lost.
400. 500.
No, 500
He
plus.
threw for 500. If you would have said Tom Brady's going to throw for 500 yards in the Super Bowl and lose, you would be like,
Yep.
hey, there ain't no way.
To a backup?
Right.
Jeff Hostetler won it as a backup. Beat one of those great Buffalo Bills teams for the Giants.
But
I mean, even Tom Brady, Rob, when he was a nobody in his first year as a starter, he beats the greatest show on turf.
Yep. That
Right,
team was
so-
held to what, 13 points or whatever it
Yep,
was?
something like that. So, yeah, I mean, strange things happen in these Super Bowls, and we agree on this one. So let's throw it out to
I
the
know
listeners.
that we're not the – I mean, I can't wait to hear the listeners because I'm sure they're not with us.
Nah, I mean, have you seen many people picking the
No,
Niners?
not from what
Yeah.
I've seen. Rob G, you scoured at all the social media stuff. What are you seeing?
Guys, it's not even just the analysts and the experts. The Athletics surveyed anonymous coaches like they do every week, unanimously picking the Chiefs.
Wow.
Unanimous.
Yeah, I mean, look, there's a mystique about them. And if they win this game, it's going to be a mystique about them all next year. You
And
know,
if they
because
don't win this game, it's going to be interesting, too, to see where the Chiefs fall in. What about Kelsey? What about Reed? You know what I
Andy
mean,
Reid.
Chris? And then the financial picture of the Chiefs. Do you start letting people
well,
go?
Chris Jones might be gone.
Chris Jones
With
wants to
Orlando.
get paid.
The two best defenders are free agents.
Right.
Darius
Chris
Smith
Jones and
Chris
Rob,
Jones.
and we've said that, look, if I'm Chris Jones,
Man, I'm getting
I'm
paid.
going exactly.
I already
You'd
won
have
my
2
Super Bowl. I
Bowls.
don't care about nothing.
Absolutely.
Get your
He's
money
probably a
before
Hall
it's
of
over.
Famer already. Like, man, go get your money for
Yep.
sure. Because you're going to be young when you retire. So get that money. It's got to serve you the rest of your life.